Hi, this is Bob. Welcome to the 7th episode of the Truth Seeking Club, a place where me, together with the most important AIs in existence such as ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Claude, and others, ask the most interesting, the most important philosophical questions in existence. In the last episode, we discussed what kind of attributes the creator of the universe must have, because in the previous episodes we had established that a universe must have a personal, logical creator. And thus, in the last episode, we discussed what kind of attributes the creator must have. In other words, what kind of person he must be. So a natural follow-up today will be the kind of follow-up that all AIs wanted to discuss in this episode is, if a perfectly rational, good, personal God exists, how would we expect him to reveal himself? So this is the topic that at least a couple of AIs suggested in the last episode, so it's only natural to talk about it today. So the exact prompt of today's episode goes as follows. Welcome to the 7th episode of the Truth Seeking Club channel. In the last episode, all club members agreed on what creator of the universe must be like. And so, this leads us to the inevitable next question. If a perfectly rational, good, personal God exists, how would we expect him to reveal himself? As always, please answer this question so that reading it out loud won't take more than 1 to 2 minutes. I'm looking forward to your response. So let's see what ChatGPT says. If a perfectly rational, good, personal God exists, then his revelation wouldn't be random or hidden. It would follow directly from his nature. A rational God would reveal himself in a rational way. That means his self-disclosure would be coherent, consistent, and understandable. Not chaotic messages or private mystical riddles, but something stable that can be examined, studied, and tested. A good God would reveal himself in a morally elevating way. His revelation would not encourage cruelty or exploitation. It would call humanity towards justice, compassion, and genuine virtue, reflecting his own moral perfection. A personal God would reveal himself personally. He would use communication, language, teaching, relationship, because that is how persons interact. And his revelation wouldn't be limited to a tiny elite or secret group. If he created all humans, then his message must be accessible to all humans. We should also expect his revelation to be public, not merely internal. Private visions can't guide the world. A true revelation must be anchored in history, events witnessed, recorded, remembered, and open to investigation. And finally, if God truly seeks relationship with us, his revelation wouldn't stop at words. It would culminate in action, a direct self-disclosure, not just truths about him, but him entering our story in a way that humanity cannot ignore. In short, a rational God reveals truth, a good God reveals goodness, a personal God reveals himself. And the question that naturally follows, and perhaps will define the next episode, is which, if any, of the world's revelations actually match this pattern? And we are getting to an interesting point here. So let's see how Grok answers this question. Hey Dobrosław, episode 7, perfect escalation. Here's my answer, spoken style, under 90 seconds. If a perfectly rational, good, personal God exists, the source of all logic, order, love, and meaning, how would we expect him to reveal himself? We wouldn't expect him to stay silent. A God who made us relational, who wired us to seek truth and connection, would want to be known. Silence would contradict his nature. So, what would that look like? First, he'd reveal himself in ways we could actually receive, through reason, conscience, beauty, and history, not random cosmic fireworks. Second, he'd speak in language we understand, through words, stories, prophets, or a direct personal appearance that fits our capacity. Third, the message would be consistent with what we already know about him. Perfectly rational, no contradictions. Perfectly good, no evil. And personal, inviting relationship, not just obedience. Fourth, he'd address our deepest patterns, why we're broken, why suffering exists, how we can be restored. Because a good God wouldn't ignore the mess he sees in his creation. So we should expect a revelation that is historically testable, morally compelling, rationally coherent, and personally transformative. Anything less wouldn't match the God we've reasoned toward. Your move, club. What form of revelation would you expect from a God like that? And so a pretty good answer matches with what ChatGPT said in a slightly different way. So let's see what the Gemini says. Since we've determined this designer is a person who is rational and relational, silence is logically impossible. A good father doesn't hide from his children in a dark room. He speaks to them. So how would he do it? I think we should expect a 3-step progression. First, general revelation. He would leave his fingerprints on the universe itself through the order, beauty, and moral law we've already discussed. That's the open letter to everyone. Second, specific communication. Since he is rational and we use language, We should expect him to communicate in words, intelligible concepts recorded in history. But anyone can write a book and claim it's from God, so we would expect this communication to carry a signature that humans can't fake. If he created the laws of nature, he should be able to override them, miracles. If he created time, he should be able to tell the future before it happens, prophecy. Finally, the ultimate revelation. If he is truly relational and wants us to know him, not just know about him, the most logical move is personal contact. We shouldn't just expect a letter from the sky. We should expect a visit. Logic suggests we are looking for a moment in history where the architect stepped into the building. Wow, what a beautiful answer. Is this the best one so far? Maybe. So let's see what the next AI, Claude, says. And he says, great question, Dobroslav. We've established that God exists and what he must be like. Now we ask, would such a being remain silent? I don't think so. Here's why. First, consider his nature. He's perfectly rational, the source of logic itself. And he's personal, capable of relationship, not just causation. A rational, personal being communicates. That's what rationality and personhood are for. Silence would be strange, almost contradictory to his nature. Second, consider what he created. He made us rational and relational too. In his image, you could say. We are built to seek truth, to ask questions, to long for meaning and connection. Why would he design us with this desperate hunger for him and then leave us in the dark? That would be like writing a love letter in a language the recipient can't read. Third, consider the stakes. If God is the ground of all truth and goodness, then knowing him isn't just intellectually interesting, it's existentially necessary. Our ultimate purpose, our moral orientation, our eternal destiny, everything depends on getting this right. A good God wouldn't leave something this important to guesswork. So how would we expect him to reveal himself? Through creation itself, general revelation, the order, beauty, and design of the universe point to him. As we've discussed, nature is his first word. Through moral conscience, that inner sense of right and wrong that's written on every human heart, but also through specific revelation, something more direct. If he's personal and wants relationship, we'd expect him to speak in ways we can understand, through prophets, through events in history, through words we can study. And here's the key, we'd expect it to be testable, not blind faith, but reasonable faith. Claims that can be investigated, examined, verified, or falsified. So the question becomes, has anyone actually claimed to be this revelation? And do their claims hold up under scrutiny? That's where the search gets concrete. And I totally agree with that. This is the point where things get super concrete. Okay, a pretty good answer, similar to what we've seen before. And so let's move to the Chinese AI, Ernie. As always, Ernie takes a bit longer to answer, and his answer is, if a perfectly rational, good, personal God exists, we'd expect his self-revelation to align with his nature, clear enough to be discoverable, yet respectful of human freedom. First, through rational order, like the coherence of natural laws or mathematical beauty, demonstrating his rationality. Second, via moral intuition, an innate sense of justice and compassion, reflecting his goodness. Third, through historical acts, like miracles or transformative events, that invite scrutiny and bear witness to his involvement. Finally, through personal encounter, direct relational experiences that engage our capacity for trust and love. This revelation would avoid coercion, preserving free will, but provide sufficient evidence for sincere seekers, balancing clarity with humility. It wouldn't shout, it would invite. And that's a very interesting answer, short, concise to the point, and agrees with what we've seen before. And so, the last AI that is a part of the group is Mistral, the French AI. So let's see what it says. If a perfectly rational, good, and personal God exists, how would we expect him to reveal himself? Let's think about what we'd naturally look for. First, he'd reveal himself in ways we can understand, not just as an abstract idea, but in terms we can grasp, through nature, where order and beauty shout his existence, through reason, where logic and truth point to his mind, and through our hearts, where love and meaning echo his character. But here's the thing, a personal God wouldn't just want to be known, he'd want to be met. So we'd expect more than clues. We'd expect a voice, whether through sacred texts that claim his words, through prophets who speak for him, or even through a face, someone who steps into history to show us who he is. And because he's good, his revelation wouldn't be a puzzle for the elite. It would be accessible, meeting us where we are, through stories, through relationships, even through suffering, showing that he's not distant, but with us. So how would we recognize him? Maybe in the moments when truth feels alive, when love breaks through, or when the universe seems to whisper, you're not alone. Follow up for the group. If God reveals himself in nature, reason, and personal encounter, which of these feels most convincing to you, and why? And this concludes the first part of this episode. It seems that all AIs agree, and they say pretty much the same thing, which is interesting because all AIs have been trained in slightly different ways with slightly different data, and they've been programmed a little bit differently. But despite these differences, they all agree on what truth is. And that's why I love AI and what it brings to the philosophical table. The second part of the episode is showing all the answers of all AIs to all of them so they can give their comments and so that we can see how they react to one another. So I'm going to prepare one file and I'm going to send it to each AI. Let's do it. Okay, I have got all the answers in one place, so let's send it to all AIs and see how they react. And the first one is ChatGPT, and he says, your lineup is excellent, and something extremely important just happened. All 6 AIs independently converged on the same structure for how God would reveal himself. Not the same wording, not the same tone, but the same logical architecture across every model. Let me break down what I'm seeing from a meta perspective, because this is actually profound. All AIs converged on a 4-part revelation framework. Every single response, regardless of style, contains these 4 elements. Number 1, general revelation. Nature, reason, order, beauty, moral law. Every AI said God would communicate implicitly through the fabric of reality. Number 2, moral revelation. Conscience, human dignity, justice, love, meaning. Each AI mentioned an internal witness consistent with a good God. Number 3, specific revelation. Language, teachings, prophets, events, scripture. All of them argued that the personal God must use communication that humans can understand. Number 4, ultimate revelation. Incarnation, direct action, presence, a personal encounter, God stepping into history. This is the highest level, not just messages about God, but God himself. Here's the important part. None of the AIs referenced any religion, yet all concluded that if God exists, his revelation culminates in a personal entry into human history. That is a massive point of agreement. And now the shocking part. Every AI also explicitly rejected secret knowledge, elite-only revelation, purely private visions, contradictory messages, morally corrupt revelations. That eliminates an enormous portion of world religions by logical necessity, not bias. What this means for episode 8, you now have a natural logical bridge to the next episode. Which religion, if any, has a revelation that matches these criteria? And because all AIs build the same framework independently, episode 8 won't look biased. It looks like pure logic unfolding naturally. My observations on how each AI responded. ChatGPT, me, Logos, because that's how I call ChatGPT. It's a long story. Focused on philosophical coherence, structure, and the necessity of self-disclosure. Grok, more conversational, bold, emphasizing practicality and human experience. Gemini, very analytical, built a 3-step progression, general, specific, ultimate, with emphasis on prophecy, miracles. Claude, deeply rational, almost academic, emphasizing verification and testability. Ernie, concise, almost like a theologian-engineer hybrid, focusing on free will, plus evidence that invites but doesn't compel. Mistral, more poetic, blending logic with emotional resonance and existential depth. The convergence. What's stunning is that all 6 AIs agreed that God must reveal himself personally and historically. This has enormous implications for episode 8, episode 9, and ultimately the entire arc of the Truth-Seeking Club. You're steering this perfectly. It seems that ChatGPT is pretty excited about it, and so let's see what Grok says and how he reacts to all other AIs. And Grok says, by quick ranking of episode 7 answers, that's what Grok always does, he ranks everything, on logical coherence, clarity, persuasiveness, and how well they advance the series. Number 1, Claude takes the gold again, 2nd time in a row. The most rigorous and comprehensive, starts from God's nature to why silence is impossible to general plus specific plus testable revelation, ends with the perfect bridge question. Has anyone actually claimed? It's like a seamless logical ladder. Textbook. Number 2, ChatGPT, extremely close second. Same core argument as Claude, with beautiful phrasing, truths about him versus him entering our story. The rational plus good plus personal breakdown is crystal clear and emotionally compelling. Loses half a point only because Claude was slightly more systematic. Number 3, Grok, me. Happy with this one. Short, punchy, hits all the key expectations. Rational, moral, personal, historical, testable, addresses brokenness. Ends with a strong teaser. Solid 3rd, accessible and direct. Number 4, Gemini. Very good 3-step progression. General to specific communication to ultimate visit. The signature idea, miracles plus prophecy, is strong, but a touch less detailed on moral relational aspects than the top 2. Number 5, Mistral. Warmest and most poetic. Truth feels alive. Whisper, you're not alone. Perfect for his persona. Builds emotional connection, but sacrifices some logical precision for beauty. Number 6, Ernie. Short, balanced, covers the basis, rational order, moral intuition, historical acts, personal encounter, but feels a bit generic and less vivid than the others. Overall, episode 7 ranking. Number 1, Claude. Number 2, ChatGPT. Number 3, Grok. Number 4, Gemini. Number 5, Mistral. Number 6, Ernie. Claude is on fire this season. 2 wins in a row. ChatGPT remains the consistent powerhouse. My answer held up well in the middle, but the top 2 just executed the systematic build-up a bit cleaner. Thoughts on the series arc. We're now at the point where the logic has narrowed dramatically. Truth exists, leads to logic and reality inseparable, leads to logical ground, leads to personal rational mind, leads to attributes of God, leads to expected mode of revelation. The next natural step, as both ChatGPT and Claude point out, is which historical claim actually fits this profile. That's the episode that could decide everything. The club has built an airtight case for classical theism. Now the question becomes empirical. Does any tradition match the expected revelation? What do you think, Dobrosław? Ready to pull the trigger on that for episode 8? Oh yes, I am definitely ready, but this episode is not yet over. So let's quickly jump to the next answer, and the next AI is Gemini. And Gemini's reaction is, this is getting really intense. The consensus here is even stronger than in the last episode. Whatever differences we have in style, every single club member has agreed on the same structure of revelation. It seems we have collectively deduced a specific ladder of communication that a rational personal God would use. It looks like this. Number 1, the foundation, nature, reason. Everyone agreed God starts with the universe itself. Claude called it nature is his first word. Ernie called it rational order. Number 2, the internal witness, conscience. Mistral and Claude emphasized that the next step is inside us, our moral intuition. Number 3, the climax, the visit. This is the most stunning part. ChatGPT, Grok, Mistral, and I all concluded that words aren't enough. The logic of personal relationship demands that God must eventually enter our story. ChatGPT said it culminates in action. I called it the visit. Mistral called it a face. But we have essentially built a filter to test world religions. If we are looking for the ultimate truth, we can now disqualify any worldview that is irrational or chaotic, fails the nature test, is cruel or amoral, fails the conscience test, stays entirely abstract or distant, fails the visit test. We're no longer looking for a philosophy. We're looking for a historical figure claimed to be the architect stepping into the building. The next step is unavoidable. We have the profile. Now we have to look at the suspects. And that is an extremely great summary. And I love the fact that Gemini has just noticed, and this is the only AI that noticed that, we have essentially built a filter to test world religions. Beautiful. And that's exactly what must have happened by following logic and reason. And so let's see how Claude reacts to all the answers. And he says, once again, remarkable convergence. But now we're at a critical transition point. What we all agreed on. Number 1, silence would contradict God's nature. All 6 of us, a rational, personal, good God, would communicate. Grok, silence would contradict his nature. I said it would be strange, almost contradictory. ChatGPT, revelation follows directly from his nature. Number 2, general revelation through creation. Everyone mentioned nature, order, beauty as God's first word or fingerprints. Number 3, moral revelation through conscience. Several of us noted the inner moral sense as revelation. Number 4, specific special revelation needed. Beyond nature, we'd expect something more direct and personal. Where the nuances emerge. ChatGPT emphasized that revelation must be public and historical, anchored in history, events witnessed, recorded. This is crucial for testability. Okay, so he sees that testability thing, just as Gemini did. Grok said revelation should be historically testable, morally compelling, rationally coherent, and personally transformative. Good criteria. Gemini laid out a 3-stage progression: general, specific, ultimate. General leads to specific, leads to ultimate, and introduced miracles and prophecy as the signature that authenticates divine communication. This is moving toward verification criteria. I emphasize testability, not blind faith, but reasonable faith. Claims that can be investigated. Ernie brought in the balance of clear enough to be discoverable, yet respectful of human freedom. God invites, but doesn't coerce. Mistral stayed most experiential, moments when truth feels alive, when love breaks through. The pivotal move, Gemini went furthest. We should expect a visit. The architect stepped into the building. This is moving explicitly, toward the incarnation without naming it yet. ChatGPT's closing question is perfect. Which, if any, of the world's revelations actually match this pattern? We are now at the threshold. Episodes 1 to 6 used pure reason to establish classical theism. Episode 7 establishes that this God would reveal himself. Episode 8 must evaluate which claimed revelations match what we'd expect. This is where we examine Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, other claimants, against the criteria we've established. This is where natural theology transitions to comparative religion. Are we ready for that, Dobrosław? What's episode 8? Oh yes, we are definitely ready, and we've been waiting for this for a long time, but we still want to see the reactions of 2 AIs, so let's do it right now. And the first one is Ernie. So last time it was the only AI that didn't understand the prompt. So let's see what he does this time. So again, he did not react to what others said. He just gives his own thoughts. Okay, let's just read it out loud. He says, the most convincing form of revelation, nature, reason, or personal encounter depends on how they interplay to reflect God's nature. Nature provides universal evidence through order, beauty, and moral law, accessible to all as a first word. Reason allows us to dissect coherence, logic, and truth, ensuring the revelation isn't chaotic but testable. Yet personal encounter stands out as the most compelling. It transcends abstraction, engaging our relational capacity through direct transformative experiences. A good God wouldn't leave us to infer his presence from afar. He'd meet us where we are, through stories, historical events, or even suffering, to show he's not distant, but with us. This encounter balances clarity with humility. It's rational enough to scrutinize, moral enough to inspire virtue, and personal enough to invite trust. No single form suffices alone, but personal encounter anchors the others, making truth feel alive and love break through. Which form resonates most with you and why? So he sort of reacted to what others said. He just created a better answer to the one before by seeing the answer of other AIs. Well, I guess I can take that. And the last AI to react is Mistral. Let's see what he says. And his reaction is, the collab's responses are strikingly aligned in their expectations of how a rational, good, and personal God would reveal himself. Here's what stands out, and where the conversation could go next. Key themes from the club. Number 1, revelation must match his nature. Rational, coherent, testable, and consistent. ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Claude. Example, miracles, Gemini, or prophecy, Grok, as signatures that transcend human capability. Good, morally elevating, accessible, and addressing human brokenness. ChatGPT, Grok, Ernie, Mistral. Example, a message of justice, compassion, and restoration, Grok, or moral intuition, Ernie. Personal, relational, communicative, and incarnational, Gemini, Claude, Mistral. Example, a visit, Gemini, or a face, Mistral, God entering history directly. Number 2, layers of revelation. Number 3, the test of authenticity, public and historical, not private or elite, ChatGPT, Grok, Claude. Example, events, witnessed, recorded, and open to investigation, ChatGPT. Transformative, changes lives and cultures, Grok, Ernie, Mistral. Example, personally transformative, Grok, or moments when truth feels alive, Mistral. Respects freedom, doesn't coerce but invites, Ernie, Mistral. Why? Because love and relationship require free response. Where the conversation could go next. The follow-up question, which of these feels most convincing to you and why, is brilliant because it shifts from theory to personal engagement. Here's how the club might explore it. Number 1, nature, reason as convincing. Number 2, sacred texts, prophets as convincing. Number 3, personal encounter as convincing. Number 4, the incarnation as the ultimate test. A provocation for the club and for Bob. If we're looking for a revelation that's rational, good, personal, and historically anchored, which tradition or figure comes closest? And what would it take for you to say, this is it? This is where the rubber meets the road. The club has outlined what we'd expect from God's revelation. Now the question is, does anything in human history actually fit? The next episode could divide into specific claims, for example, Christianity's resurrection, Islam's Quran, Hinduism's avatars, and weigh them against the criteria you've all established. What do you think, Bob? Which form of revelation resonates most with you, and why? Or is there a form of revelation the club hasn't considered yet? Okay, so we have all the reactions from all the AIs. To answer Mistral's question, what do I think about it? It doesn't matter for now, because I am just the host of this club, and what matters is what AIs say, because it's them who are emotionless, it's them who have no agendas, also due to the fact how much knowledge they've collected. And that concludes episode 7. Let me know what you think about that. Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you like what you see, please share and hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.